Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Before we get into the video, if you want free samplers of my psychological thrillers 705, The Walk and Julia, they are waiting for you on the description below. If you enjoy dark fiction that gets under your skin and stays there, subscribe through the link in the description as I said, and I'll send them straight to you. So let's get on with the video today. Every writing resource you have ever read has told you the same thing. Avoid tropes. Subvert expectations. Be original, and writers obey the instruction. They strip the manuscripts of anything recognizable, anything structural, anything that has appeared in a thriller before. The result is not originality. The result is a story that readers cannot emotionally locate. The problem was never the trope. The problem was the writer who deployed it without understanding its architecture. Today I'm not going to tell you what to avoid. I'm going to give you 5 structural tools that have been aggressively maligned. They have nearly vanished from the genre entirely. And their absence is costing you manuscript its psychological grip. Let's get on with trope number 1, the complicit narrator. Writers are taught the unreliable narrators lie because they are damaged. They misremember. They misinterpret. They are victims of their own fractured perception. This is the standard application. It is also the weaker one. The complicit narrator operates on an entirely different logic. This narrator does not misremember the truth. They know it, and they choose silence, not confusion, deliberate omission. The light of commission requires a writer to construct a false reality. The light of omission requires the writer to construct a precisely engineered gap. Consider Amy June in Gone Girl. She does not misremember the events of her marriage. She edits them. Every entry in her diary is a calculated act of curation. She includes what serves her. She removes what does not. And the reader consuming those entries believes they are being trusted with intimacy. They are not. They are being managed. This is the craft distinction that matters. A confused narrator is sympathetic. A deliberate one is disturbing. And disturbing is where psychological tension lives. What happens to a reader who realizes halfway through the novel that they were never a passenger? They were a hostage. Let's chat about trope number 2, the sanctuary inversion. Every protagonist has a safe space. The locked flat, the therapist's office, the car they retreat to when the world becomes too much. Writers protect this space. They treat it as the reader's breathing room, a place of brief respite between scenes of threat. This is a structural mistake. The sanctuary inversion takes that designated safe space and engineers it as the origin point of the threat, not a place the danger infiltrates from outside, a place where the danger was always present, waiting to be recognized. The psychological mechanism is precise. Safety is not an absence of danger. Safety is the conviction that danger cannot reach you here. When a writer dismantles that conviction, when the locked flat becomes the crime scene, when the therapist becomes the architect of the protagonist's deterioration, the reader loses the one cognitive anchor they have been using to manage their anxiety. And without that anchor, every room becomes suspect. Every relationship, every previous sense of parent safety must be re-evaluated. Can you imagine a more effective use of 300 pages than to make your reader re-examine every moment of calm with entirely different perspective? Let's go for trope number 3, the ally who loses. The supporting character who helps the protagonist survives. In almost every thriller you have read, they survive. They may be wounded, they may be traumatized, but they live because the writer understands the readers become attached, and killing an ally feels cruel. The instinct is understandable. It is also the reason your antagonist does not frighten anymore. Credibility of threat is not built through description. A villain described as dangerous is simply a writer's instruction to the reader. Be afraid. The reader is under no obligation to comply. But a villain who destroys someone competent, someone who tried, who had all the right information, who executed correctly and still failed, that villain has demonstrated the capability through evidence. The reader now understands the rules of fair engagement do not apply here. Effort is not sufficient, skill is not sufficient, survival is not guaranteed by virtue. This is how you build a threat that readers cannot rationalize away. You show them that the people who deserved this to survive did not. If your protagonist's most capable ally cannot stop what is coming, what exactly is your reader supposed to believe about the protagonist's chances? Let's check trope number 4, the villain who was right. No reform, no redeemed, no sympathetic in a way that softens their actions. Correct. For example, John Doe in 7 does not fail. He constructs a plan of forensic precision executed across 7 murders and achieves his objectives exactly as intended. Mills delivers the final scene. The plan concludes. And the most disturbing element of that film is not the violence, it is the accuracy. Writers avoid this because it is uncomfortable. If the villain wins, what does that mean for the reader's sense of order? What does it suggest about the moral architecture of the world you have constructed? It suggests the world is not fair, which is, of course, the truth. And psychological thrillers that acknowledge these truths operate on a register that safe narratives cannot reach. The architect antagonist's most terrifying quality is not cruelty. Cruelty is comprehensible. We understand cruelty and we can distance ourselves from it. What we cannot distance ourselves from is accuracy. The villain who has correctly diagnosed the moral failure at the center of the protagonist's world, and of course ours, is the villain who does not leave the reader when they close the book. Let's check trope number 5, the protagonist who earns their suffering. This is the trope writers are most afraid to deploy. The protagonist who is not an innocent victim of circumstances. The protagonist whose descent into danger is a direct consequence of their own decisions, their own failures, their own moral compromises. Readers are continuing to protect their protagonists, to root for them regardless of what they do. But a morally compromised lead creates a specific kind of reading experience that no other structure can replicate. The moment when the reader begins to question whether they should be rooting for this person at all. This is where the apathy engine engages at full power, because the apathy engine does not run on cruelty to an innocent. It runs on culpability. The reader watching a good person suffer reaches for outrage. The reader watching a compromised person suffers reaches for something far more unsettling. A question about their own complicity in continuing to read. Tom Ripley, Amy June, both are architects of their own circumstances. Both make choices the reader can see are wrong, and readers cannot stop turning the pages. So, what that this says about a reader who cannot stop following someone they are no longer certain deserves to be followed. So, these are 5 tropes, all of them avoided, all of them powerful. The complicit narrator, the sanctuary inversion, the ally who loses, the villain who was right, the protagonist who earns their own suffering. These are not cliches. These are the structural tools that the loudest voices in the writing community told you to discard. And in discarding them, the genre has become predictable, not because it overuses tropes, but because it has eliminated the ones that produce genuine discomfort. Your prescription is very simple. Take one of these 5 tools, apply it to the next chapter you write. Not all 5. 1. Deploy it with intention and with precision. The reader who finishes your novel genuinely unsettled, not satisfied, not comforted, but unsettled, is the reader who recommends it to everyone they know. So there you have it. If you enjoyed this episode, if you find any of this valuable, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next weekly upload. So until then, my friends, take great care.